Thank you for being here as always. Appreciate you. After watching the LCS, getting a breakdown of what you saw, what unfolded in front of your eyes week 5 in the book. So again, stay live. We'll definitely call you guys out in chat as the show goes on. Guys, do you have anything to say before we kick this one off?
I don't know, man. I think people are going to be pretty mad at us after this episode. That's just like my initial take. Like, going to, like, it's really hard to do analysis on this week and make Reddit happy. That's all I'm saying.
I commented on it yesterday. People like you or me or anyone shouldn't actually have to be afraid just to speak. Right? But like what happened to my Twitch chat, what happened in my Twitch chat yesterday after that TSM Cloud9 game, there was so much spammed hatred and like just negativity and toxicity that my Twitch chat broke on client side and the messages were loading in blocks. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like just from just like spamming hatred. Oh
wait,
dude, it was...
you know what I think? I think it was because people were pretty mad. I think it's because me and you had the same take that C9 had the better draft, and then TSM.
Well, it wasn't just me and you. Plenty of LEC players chimed in too.
Yeah, of course. But like out of the co-streamers, right? It was me and you that said that C9 had a better draft, and then Doublelift and Meteos and I think Mo all thought that TSM had the better draft. So. Yeah. Like, I think that's where it starts, right? Like, it just becomes like a streamer war. So I went to this stream. They said the opposite of what you're saying. F you. Like, it's like, okay, man. Like,
and
my bad.
This highlights a really good point that I talk about sometimes on my stream. I think I referenced this in a video that I made on T1 channel or whatever. It's like a physicist analogy where like if you have a super basic rudimentary understanding of something like a science, right? I just use physics, throw it out there, right? If you take two experts in the field and have them talk to one another, you lack the ability to discern who could or who could not be telling the truth, right? But apart from that, just as something completely detached, you can't tell where accuracy lies in any comments, regardless, right? As a bystander. But for some reason...
So I think you can if things are explained down to like a low enough level, which is like something that I'm trying to like make my arguments.
I think takes so much fucking... No, you have to do what you did with Skarner. I agree with you. You have to go through step 1 to 10 or 1 to 100, right? Mm-hmm. But you get what I'm saying, right? Yeah. In a free-flowing conversation, it can't be done. There's no way to fucking do it. There's no fucking way.
Oh yeah, you have to prepare. You have to like prepare and just be like on top of everything, and you have to like make your argument completely like, without holes, because like when you're trying to make an argument on the fly,
it takes like 40 minutes.
Yeah,
just for one segment of the combo. Yes, it's insufferable.
Fuck it, I'm doing the 40 minutes. Like that's just it. That's from now on. Like if anyone tries to tell me that I'm wrong about something that I know I'm right about, I'm just gonna fucking invest the time and do the 40 minutes. Like I'll just fucking waste all my time until people understand what the fuck I'm saying.
I lost that battle too long ago. I'm not. I just don't do it anymore.
I've got it. I got the fight. I got the fight in me right now. Dude, you know.
I will say you both have a lot of fight in you over the last couple weeks. It's been nice. It's been a lot of energy back into both of you.
Yeah.
Dom, hold on. I'm getting a quick call. What do you max on Skarner, Dom?
W if it feels right. Well, it's really like this, like, you know, like the thing is maxing abilities on Skarner, it's like it's a spectrum, right? So depending on like how you feel on different days, like you should be able to, you know, max abilities freely and you shouldn't be judged for it. So it's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, personally, me, I like to consider myself a true Kayn player. I actually don't like to transform in the games. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it's definitely one of the most balanced ways to play the champion. You know,
I like to always keep my opponents on the edge.
Yeah, yeah. No, I respect
true Kayn,
it.
not blue Kayn. Yeah.
True Kayn.
All right. Well, with that, let's kick things off here with week 5 of the LCS.
Wait, before we go into that, I just have this fucking
go for it.
This thing where Cutie back in the day, he would play Hobo Gear, where he would only play Black Belt Udyr, where he has like the hobo gloves or whatever. and he would not max any abilities. This was like in season like fucking 1 or 2, and he would not max any abilities, and he would try to win the game with just slapping people with the fucking neutral Uter stance, and that's the first thing I thought about, man. Fucking Cutie is such a legend. I love that guy. I fucking love that guy.
Oh, shit, I almost like spit up all over the place here. All right. If you have your best worst, what do you call that? Your best poor way to play a champion, let us know. Hobo Deer and True Kane leading the way right now for Facecheck. Those are pretty good. All right, actually, so glad we got the funnies out. Appreciate you guys being willing to go through steps 1 through 100 and explaining to us what 2 astrophysicists are like there, LS. But on a serious note, Joe, can you hit the lights and cue the music, please?
Oh no.
What's Joe doing?
We're gathered here today to remember 3 teams after week 5 that won't be joining us for week 6. It's been a long road for both these squads as FlyQuest, CLG, and Golden Guardians. They had such bright futures ahead of them, developmental rosters, import issues, but all 3 of these squads will not be making it to playoffs. So, we've all known them for some great moments. Let's take this time here to invite some of their esteemed colleagues up to say some nice things about them, or just maybe just anything about them. Dom,
They were
would you
too
like to,
young, man. They're
pull
just
yourself
too
together,
young.
Dom. I need you to say something about them.
Man, I wish we didn't have to see them play in week 6, but unfortunately, even while being out of playoffs, they do actually have to play their games on week 6. So we will be seeing more of them. Don't worry, chat. We get one more round of some Golden Guardians action.
That's right.
You know
Maybe
what's
another solo death by Niles in the top lane.
You know what's funny is like the developmental roster. I think that like the confidence loss has made them play worse than whatever like development of LCS has made them play. Like their progression has made them play better. I don't even know if they're progressing.
Well, I think they did a good job selling it's a progressive roster. Hey, you know what? Given the way that this league is, or this season's going, maybe people will forget about the 2018 spring season where I think we only got 3 wins. LS, thoughts on our 3 teams here in memoriam?
You know, I mean, Protobelter, he just came in a little bit too late. Not really sure if Golden Guardians will ever win their actual promos. And FlyQuest is probably doing about as well as the airline industry is during the pandemic. So, you know, I mean,
Nice.
you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, it's a lot of losing. I feel bad for CLG out of all these teams because, like, I actually think that CLG is making some progress. Like, when I watch them play, like, week to week, it's like, okay, they, like, started doing some things, like, a little bit better, which is more than I can say for, like, most of the league, right? So it feels like they actually would be, like, I would be more excited watching CLG in playoffs than fucking EG at this point, you know? Like, that's how I feel personally, even though, like, CLG lost every game at the beginning of the season. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, Pobelter coming on in, changing that roster. Broxa, Jungle Morgana, that was their only loss this week.
Yeah, we don't talk about that game.
Okay. And then FlyQuest, it just seems like they just haven't been able to get it together. You know, Johnson, very high rated 80 carry coming into this season, just hasn't had the pieces around him. And, you know, Licorice tweeting out later, hey, we're out of playoffs. Probably will have a stream to be a little bit more transparent and talk about how the split went so far. But all 3 of these teams out with no chance to make it into playoffs, which leads us into our overall standings because we've got 7 teams still in playoff contention. Only 1 team already booked their ticket. That's Cloud9 at 11-4. But Immortals sneak in a 2-1 week in here, keeping their playoff hopes alive, beating their main playoff rival right now, and Evil Geniuses sneaking that win away in a back and forth, long drawn out game. That one was fun to watch as a fan. I'm sure it hurt your hearts as analysts, as well as TL, 100 Thieves, TSM, and Dignitas all still in those playoff positions. What were your big takeaways from this week, Dom?
My biggest takeaway is that like gold leads don't matter at all in North America. Like winning the game just has like having an advantage position in the game doesn't actually correlate into like any strength when it comes to getting objectives, getting Baron, like actually getting a win. Like it seems like every game the team that's winning will just throw massively at some point, and then it'll kind of just get into like whichever team has more like confidence or something in the fight. It's like you go late game versus an Orianna like Jinx, and you think EG like there's no way EG could lose this game, and then like I think it was versus Dignitas, right? And then you're like, oh well, the Jinx just like is choking every fight. Forgot to like buy a Lord Dominic's regards when it's like the most OP item in the entire game. Jizuke is missing every shockwave, and it's like I guess they just don't scale well. I guess Dig just out team fought them. Like I don't know what the fuck we're gonna even say about these types of games. So for me, like the most scary part is when you watch like other regions, it looks like, well, specifically like China, like LEC has a lot of bad teams in it right now too. But when you watch like China, I'm not sure about LCK. I don't watch enough LCK to comment. It looks like if a team's going to come back, they have to like massively outplay. You're like, holy shit, this guy actually landed like a fucking nasty like rel engage to be able to like to win this. Like, damn, like that was like an outplay. I don't even feel like it's outplays a lot of the time. I feel like random people just throw the game in NA. Like Jizuke will just one man shockwave over and over again. Svenskar just runs it down on Hecarim for absolutely no reason. There's like no communication in the teams where you can see that people have actual completely different interpretations of what to do in a fight. I mean, the most egregious example, if you want to talk about like EG, for example, EG versus Dig, the most egregious example is that one fight where Dignitas is just throwing the entire game, right? And this is why I don't think Dignitas is a good team. Like every single game they play, go watch all their games. Every single game they play, they will massively throw the game at least like 2 or 3 times. This is literally in every single game. Yep. So they do that versus EG. And you can see like impacted Jizuke, see like the Gnar TPing behind them, and they're like instantly trying to turn on the teleport. And then you look at like Deftly, and he's like hitting the front line, and he looks so shocked by the fact that like his panic flash, his sheer amount of panic when he sees this Gnar come into the fight shows that there's like no communication in the team about like what the fuck the team is going to do. Like half the team is trying to turn on the TP. The other half of the team doesn't even know that the teleport's there. And then they end up winning the fight. But because they're so discoordinated, like they're so uncoordinated, they don't even win the fight as hard as they should. Like the fight that I'm talking about, I'll just bring it up and we can look at it really quickly. But the fight that I'm talking about,
it's the one behind the Dragon Pit, yeah.
It's the one behind the Dragon Pit. It's literally a game-winning fight for EG, right? Like if you fight that at all, like remotely together, you get like a 4 for 0, you get Dragon, you get Baron, and then you just have Baron with like your Jinx Cup, you just win the game, right? Like that's a game losing mistake by Dignitas, but it only ends up being a Dragon because EG responds to it so terribly. EG versus Dig. All right, let me pull it up. Where is it? We got this one.
God, watching this game was hurting my heart so much because I was like, man, come on, man.
Oh, because definitely come just
on,
can't
man,
dude,
you're so close to making this play, dude. And there's been like even in the Immortals game, right? The reason why Immortals threw was because definitely played that one so well under tower, and they got them back in it. So I'm like, okay, Matthew's like in a spot where he can do this, but this Dignitas game was rough.
This type of stuff, like I would say this is more like analysis based than player based. I feel like if you're a team that has this huge staff and you have analysts, they should be able to like explain patch changes, like mathematical patch changes to you. Yeah. Like go look up the numbers on Lord Dominic's regards, just how OP the item is. Like when they made that, now it's a crit item, right? Like it was a crit item since the beginning of the season. They buffed it to 35% armor penetration. And it gives you damage. It's like the complete item. And you see other regions, people are like, oh, Lord Dominic's, man, I'm fucking like building this second almost every game. Like if they have tabbies, it's almost fucking, it's worth it. If they have one set of tabbies, the item's almost worth it. Then you look at this game from Deftly. He's playing into a fucking Gnar that has Thornmail and Randuin's and tabbies. He's playing against a Skarner that is full tank. He's playing against an Alistar that has turbo chem tank. And then he goes IE third. It's like, please just build the right fucking item, man. Like, it's so fucking broken. It's actually so fucking broken. The fact that no one on the team is even telling him, hey, like, if I saw like that BF sword, I'm like, ooh, that's a rough one, but build your Lord Doms first, man. Like, no one is saying, like, what is going on? How does no one notice?
I don't know. I mean, they weren't communicating during the team fight. How would they be even looking at someone else's items?
Let's look at the team fight. Let's look at the team fight.
Yeah. Dom, take it away.
Oh, Oh, absolutely. Okay, so let's just look at this right here. All right, so we got this team fight. So just watch what happens. So this is literally one of the examples of why like people are not giving, like a lot of the analysts are not giving Dignitas credit, because when they make plays like this, they are throwing the entire game, and versus a good team you just insta lose, right? Obviously there's no good teams. Okay, so watch, just look at the intention. This is something that LS always talks about. You can look at players play and how they move, and you can see what their intention is, right? You see this TP, Impact and Jizuke just run at it, right? They're like, oh shit, this TP's coming in, right? They're trying to position. They're both trying to fight it. Look at Definitely. Definitely has no idea that this TP came in. Look at where he's standing. Look at, like, he's clearly looking at this part of the game, right? He's looking at Dardoch. He's looking at Neo. Like, his camera is not even there. So his Nar comes behind him, and look at that flash. He just freaks out. Like, he just literally just freaks out. He flashes, still gets knocked in. And then now Skarner can just flash on him, and he just dies. So like in this fight, that's still like, it's still terrible from Dig, right? It's a horrible fight. You should never be forcing this deep. With Nar, there's no follow-up. You're literally running into the choke when the enemy team has like Jinx Orianna, right? And the Jinx Orianna positioned to deal maximum amounts of damage here. So you never want to take this fight anyway if you're Dig. But if like Definitely just plays it a little bit better, this is just like an ace. Maybe it's not an ace. Maybe they only get like 3 or 4. But they just get, it's a 3 for 0. They get Baron, and then they just have huge advantage in the game. They're up like 5-6k gold. But this ends up only being a dragon because Definitely freaks out. This is the type of stuff that makes me feel like teams just have no communication. Like, are they not all talking about turning on the TP? Because if you have the same mindset here, Definitely would just drop his traps on top of the TP and start positioning up, right? Like, he's going to space upwards. Like, look at how Jizuke positions. He's going to start positioning upwards like this. So if Mega Narg is going to go on them, they're going to get knocked into this wall, if anything, over here. And then the Skarner's not going to be able to like realistically follow up. They're going to have to run through the choke and just get absolutely murdered. But like Definitely's flash like doesn't even do anything. Like he literally just flashes nothing and then just dies. Like he's clearly not looking at the TP. So yeah, I mean, we can come out of the parsec now, but these types of things are just like the reason why I don't have any confidence in a lot of these teams, because they're just not able to like at least get on the same page with what's happening, and they don't even catch the throw as well.
Now, I just want to make sure here that like I don't think that Definitely was like, hey, I don't know what's happening. You had Ignar getting caught in the river, and then you had Svenskeren in the pit by himself. So I think there were comms there between both of them. But yeah, the play seems clear. Drop the traps on the TP. Nar can't do anything. Kite up where Jizuke is. And it feels like it was bad comms, not no comms there. Like split comms. You had 3 different types of fights that were happening in the middle of that, and Definitely was in the middle of it.
Yeah, which would just like come down to like just having the raw mechanics and like just knowing what to do. Like Definitely should just know there what he needs to do. Like, even if fucking Ignar's like, follow me up, like, get in here. Like, even if Ignar's screaming at him, like he should just know, like, I can't go there. Like, I have to like deal with this fucking Meganar that just TP'd behind me. Like, that's what you need to do.
Fair.
100%.
Fair. So again, plays like that is how Dignitas are able to throw the game and take advantage of teams like Evil Geniuses that haven't been able to get on the same page and haven't been able to beat teams that they're supposed to beat. Right now, Evil Geniuses on the cusp of possibly getting knocked out of playoffs by Immortals, who have been eking out wins throughout. Just want to touch on Immortals here, going 2-1, finding victories. And again, Immortals just making a small little push here. The only time that I think they lost this week was that very depressing, right? That was the depressing loss against CLG where Xerxes was like farming the opposing team's red while the base was getting destroyed. I think it was that game, right?
Something like that, man.
Yeah, like why is Immortals finding success?
LS, you can take this one.
I mean, I think they're finding success the same. I mean, this past week in general. I mean, what Dom mentioned at the very beginning about there being so much variance and randomness inside of the games. NA is a complete clusterfuck. Maybe we have to bleep that out. I don't know. It's a complete mess, man. It is a complete mess. I did miss one of the days of LCS this past week, but obviously, like, teams can have insane advantages. We're gonna beat a dead horse right now, but the teams can have insane advantages, and it doesn't actually mean anything. Is what it just appears like. This is extremely low quality. advantages that should be able to be transitioned into standard. I almost want to call them historic macro plays, right? Because they're so
they
understood.
existed when I played.
They've existed for so long,
Yeah.
and yet they're failing at them time and time again. It's so weird. And I like the point that Dom brought up about like confidence or something, because it almost feels like watching NA is like watching a fucking anime. This actually just feels like Dragon Ball Z. It doesn't seem to matter who the fuck is winning or losing at any given point. It just matters what fucking time in the game is it for Goku to apparently just appear and fucking kill the antagonist or something. Like, that's literally what is just happening.
Actually,
How is Dignitas second? What is that? What is going on?
I mean, they throw the
CLG
game.
is starting to find wins. Everything. It's
Dude,
go ahead.
so this is my take on Dignitas. So I think that Dignitas might just be like the most physically intimidating team or something, because when Dignitas starts walking through chokes, everyone just gets the fuck out of the way for some
There it
reason.
is.
Like they never have to push mid wave and contest through mid one time. If you watch Dig, I mean, you can watch this EG game, the TSM game. They're like 7K down. They start marching through the choke, no flashes. TSM's like, get out of there. They look scary. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they're looking intimidating while doing it. So I don't know. I guess they have some like extra like aura around them that just pushes people away. It's like a force field or something. I love it.
yeah, there it is.
alpha.
That's how they've been bullying it right there. It's Afromu and Dardoch just bullying everyone, just like the graphic is showing right there.
Yeah, no. Like Afro rocks and he's playing Alistar. He's all jacked and shit, and people are like, "Yeah, that's an angry fucking cow. Don't go near that shit." Like, yeah, they mean business. Like, I don't know if they are allowed to walk through that choke, but with the confidence that they did it, you know, we're gonna let it pass.
Yeah, and again, Dignitas 3-0 this week. I like the point that you made there, LS, because I will say as a fan of the league and kind of the narratives that have been pushed because of, again, a lot of the big names in the league stepping away. I feel like there's been a lot of hero building in a lot of the games, whether it was Pobelter on the Lucian and stepping up, getting his revenge win against Team Liquid, Fake God this week with his big plays for Dignitas and being put in position to do so. It's been a lot of like, hey, look at these individual plays, because it's a lot of this back and forth narrative when it's just like, why are we having back and forth fights over nothing? We're not fighting over vision. We're just kind of walking into each other. The setup around the objectives isn't great. Really hasn't been a lot of the good league that I think we saw like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we had some good NA League of Legends.
The really weird thing is that League is, I mean, Dom can share a sentiment on this. League is in a weird state where if you watch it in LCK or you watch it in LEC, some people will say that it's actually boring right now because there's no comebacks versus, you know, like in those regions. Generally, if teams there get ahead, they know actually how to convert. I mean, you have fudging Breon Blade and Liv Sandbox who can actually like take Domwan to long games and actually like macro well and then team fight well. It's pretty insane. But
They also did
you know,
it to
generally
T1, but you know, we don't talk about that.
all right. You know, I mean, you win some, you lose some. But generally, comebacks don't happen. But in North America,
Okay.
it's like
Wait, what's
I
that?
don't know. I don't know what to say. It just feels really weird. And then there was that tweet that I engaged with on Twitter where someone tried to say that like I can't even cite it verbatim, so I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna mix this one up like I did last week with the fudge quote.
Okay.
God.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that there are ways to come back in games, but like people have to do the correct things. Like when you, so we're like I did LPL VOD reviews, and like the thing is sometimes there are a lot of comebacks in LPL, but it comes from like mechanical outplays and team fights, and the teams do like the right things, right? So like the team that's ahead controls the chokes and they fight over the chokes, and then sometimes the team that's behind is able to like find really good angles, or like they land like a fucking 2-man Lily asleep, like a bowling ball gets through, hits the fucking back line, and they get a 2-man Lily asleep, and suddenly they win a fight that they should be losing. Like I think that there are ways to come back in League, but you have to do it correctly. You can't just like walk. Yeah, you have to earn it. You have to outplay them in a fight. And like I don't see the team that's winning, or like the team that comes back. So for example, in like the Dig versus EG game, how did they come back into that game? Well, Svenskeren just like 1v5 engaged in mid lane. They just killed him, and then they got Soul, and then they were winning. Like they didn't have to earn the win by like playing around Seoul and being like the first ones there and dropping their pink wards and then controlling like their zones. Like, I don't think that NA teams think like that, where they're like, we need to like draw our line in the sand. Once they cross this point, we're going, man. Because like, it feels like when you watch like really good regions, they're able to determine like which zones they control. And it's like, they just look and they're like, you see that tree right there? The second that they walk past that tree right there, we're just going. And then they just start flying in from fucking everywhere. And the fights happen like so quick. Like there's no ability to like even think or react. It's like, you're just getting engaged on if you walk past this goddamn tree. Like, don't walk past that tree. So when I see like NA teams win and lose, it's like based off fights that where the enemy team just overforces and throws, not based off like the other team forcing the enemy into like a disadvantaged position and then leveraging their like positional advantage.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and again, I go back to what you showed last week with the LPL example of how everyone before the Drake came down blew flash behind the Dragon Pit to get the vision in Drake and use that as their advantage in the team fights. And we're just, we're seeing teams like TSM with their gold lead just back on off because Big Buff Dardock is rolling on through. No one wants to mess with that guy. Joshy Boy was able to get the victory there against his former team. I don't want to downplay it, though. Wins are wins. 3 wins here for Dignitas. You said a lot of the analysts shaky on the fact that they, they seem to throw and not get punished for it. Why is that? Why does that seem to constantly happen and Dignitas is able to get the win? And this 3-0 does have them in double digits. They're the second team in the LCS to get to 10 wins here. Their playoff spot all but secure unless they go 3-0. Immortals somehow goes 3-0, and then, it gets a little topsy-turvy there. But what does that mean about this Dignitas team here voting into playoffs and how they match up against Cloud9?
I mean, I personally think that, like, just when I look at how they play, I think that it's really just like confidence based, which was what I said earlier, where they like, it is kind of like the anime thing that LS said, where I think they have like confidence in their ability to team fight and they're on the same page like when they go for these fights, even if they aren't like great fights, they all commit. And at least the fact that like the team is playing together somewhat allows them to like outperform teams like EG that are completely scattered, right? Like Jizuke's one man orienting like some guy on the side of the fight. Definitely is like just completely unaware of like who's gonna be jumping on him. He dies like a million times. Like Svenskaren's going way too deep. Impact's trying to fucking hold all that shit together. Ignar's soloing, like when you're playing versus a team like that and you're at least all on the same page, then I guess you just went out. That's my take.
I mean, yeah, I think if Dig and Cloud9 end up colliding, I don't think. I mean, playoffs are very different than regular split, and then prep and whatnot, I think is really important. And I think that Cloud9's recovery when you have best of series is probably a lot greater. Because they get the downtime in between the games. So even if they do end up losing, I think that like the mental resets are probably going to be they're infinitely more beneficial for them. Whereas I think Dignitas, with like the way that they're getting wins and like what Dom's talking about, is holistically just better for a best of one environment.
The beneficiaries of switching on over to best of ones.
Yeah.
And that is something that was brought up earlier when we shifted away from the best of 3 format and then expanding it now to this kind of longer format. Who would be the one that benefits from it right now? It looks like Dignitas right there and able to win these coin flip games and just have the mental, because they've done it so many times now, of being able to battle back. So Dignitas sitting pretty there. The team ahead of them, Cloud9, 11-4, but dropped 2 games this week. And some of the big games, right? You had the TL Cloud9 game, then TSM Cloud9 game. Both those games kind of big. Thank you, Melina. I said, hey, can you make a graphic on Cloud9 stumbling with 1 and 2? And there it is, literally stumbling down the stairs there. They're still in first and probably the best team in North America, but finding trouble against those 2 marquee matchups. What did you think of these 2 games at Cloud9 here in week 5 there, LS?
Oh man, Cloud9 stumble. I mean, well, I missed the one versus Team Liquid. So I'm not so sure about the TL game. I did not end up watching the VOD. Are we just going into the we going into the TSM one right away, or what are
I
we?
think
I mean, we can't. Yeah,
What are we
sure,
doing?
why not?
let's dive right into it. Chat, strap up, get your seatbelts on because this one is this is gonna be
Oh
it.
god,
Go ahead.
this is the fun. So obviously the TSM game. I don't know if we can pull the draft up or the order of the draft up on the screen via Parsec or whatever. But
Open another tab.
the draft
Joe's got
order.
us.
Joe's got it. The draft order, it enters into the game. Cloud9 has all winning laning phases, or like all winning lanes in a vacuum. In a vacuum, they're all winning lanes. And then in addition to that, they have a winning jungle dynamic where Lilia is just inherently better. I mean, Hecarim can go even with her, but if Lilia ever gets ahead, Hecarim can't recover. Or if Hecarim gets ahead, Lilia still has value, right? Because she has Ian Sleep.
Yeah, I think
So
one thing I
it's-
want to just add, definitely continue with your point.
Yeah.
One thing I also just want to add in terms of jungle context is like when you draft Hecarim into Lilia, you need to draft good level 1 around the Hecarim because Hecarim's
Yes.
Hecarim and Rek'Sai have the most exploitable level 1s in the game. I mean, Hecarim takes Ghost, his Q does nothing. They have some of the most exploitable level 1s in the games, and Lilia's level 1 is her biggest strength, right? Like it used to be that every time you get Lilia, people would just Wraith invade, and eventually people got good enough at defending the Wraith invade, where it stopped being an every game thing. But if you draft bad level 1 and you have a Hecarim versus Lilia, the Lilia is getting like 3 quadrants or some shit. It's really doomed. So yeah, continue with your point, but I just wanted to add that in from like jungle perspective.
No, yeah. So, obviously there was enormous amounts of controversy. This is what we were alluding to at the very start of this, right? Where we talked about the just even being bothered to comment on such things, right? Where the end result of this game is that Cloud9 were light years ahead in the early stages. I think Blabber at one point was like 3 levels up, right? He was
level 6 to level 3.
Hecarim.
Yes,
Level 6 to level 3. And Cloud9 makes 3 really, really, really big blunders in the game. There's the one where they're pushing top third turret plate with bot lane, and both Perks and Fudge are looking for a recall. Like they're both trying to recall, but then they both just stopped abruptly and teleport top lane anyway, and all of Cloud9 just gets killed. Then there's another one where 30 seconds before Dragon, Fudge just randomly decides he has a hot date. He dies, and so TSM gets Dragon. And then there's the Baron play, where Crowny was on my stream, and he talked about it, like trying to do the Baron, go into the back of the pit, flash out, right? But I was just saying the Baron's not possible because they have both teleports up, right? So you can just accept the fact that they have 2 mountain dragons and then keep just fighting for the later stages of the game. The controversy came in because of what Dom mentioned earlier on, or were we live yet when Dom mentioned this? About like how it's like the streamer fight or something that was going on, where there's people saying that Yasuo, Meteos, and Doublelift are saying that TSM won draft, and then me and Dom are the co-streamers that are saying that Cloud9 won draft, and then obviously I have Nemesis and Crownshot on my stream, who are also sharing in on that sentiment. Now, the thing that's really weird is that the assertion that at least I was told, I don't know about you, Dom, was that apparently no one can protect Caitlyn. That was the comment that I kept hearing. But the reality is Caitlyn's always fighting from an empowered state, right? Because she should just be ahead. Mid lane should just be ahead. Top lane should just be ahead, right? How do you reach Caitlyn at 1.5 items at third dragon when she has Morgana, Lilia, and Gnar and Victor? How the fuck are you just bypassing Gravity Field, Chaos Storm, fucking Victor lasers? What the fuck is Caitlyn doing, by the way? With net and traps and flash and whatever else, Black Shield, fucking Morgana R, Morgana. What world are we living in where 1.5 item tank fucking Hecarim, 1 item Mythic Nautilus, one item Renekton just gets to walk past all these champions?
Oh, I mean, also, like, you want to just talk about, like, there's other specifics that go into it. Like, as somebody who plays a lot of Hecarim, there's Gale
so many
Force.
other specifics, right?
Yeah.
But this is what I mean by the 40-minute thing. I'm not willing to do it today. I honestly will get TOS. The stream will get banned. I'm not willing to do it. The other thing about it is that then, to make matters worse, so obviously TSM wins the game, right? Cloud9 makes super big blunders. As soon as the game became unwinnable, obviously, I mean, on my stream, I mean, I don't know about yours, I'm saying that Cloud9 probably can't recover, right? They can't win because viewing the game in freeze frames, right? Or like stills, like, okay, from this point, it should be unthrowable. So TSM converts it into a win. Immediately after that, my chat get so overwhelmed with hate messages and an influx of chatters that my chat dies client side, and then it only and I was showing it on stream. I only get brick messages of just like hate spam over and over and over. Insufferable, right? But then the arguments are that me and Dom or others are not as qualified as other people making comments about the draft, right? Which strikes
I
me
hate that
as
argument
really
number one because
dude,
like,
I
just argue
hate the
fucking
argument.
points.
Right. So then, unbeknownst, so some people flame Nemesis, saying that Nemesis got kicked off Fnatic. Crowny's on the bottom tier LEC team.
Yeah, he's one of the
It's
best.
really
indicators in
convenient.
LEC,
It's
yeah.
really convenient they leave out the G2 players that were chiming in. And Mickey, who was in the fucking call. Really convenient. that one's just left out because that one doesn't fit narrative. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean,
I
don't
my mind. I
even
just
do
started messaging so many people. Still, I have not found one. I haven't found one. I'm going to T1 tomorrow. Listen, I'm in the cafeteria. Fucking Teddy or Faker like walks in or something. I got a question that I need to pop. You know what I mean? When they have a seat, like
Yeah.
I have a question, but I have not found one person yet that shares this sentiment. In my belief is that the only way they arrive at this conclusion is one, NA solo queue. And then two, they don't actually watch high enough level players consistently enough to actually envision what the champion's limitations are and aren't. That's it. That's the only thing I can arrive at. Because I cannot envision whatever it is that they're seeing. I don't know why. I don't know.
I mean, we
This
so like I'm not gonna even.
I can say it. I don't know.
That was
Go
pretty
ahead.
polite.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna even talk about like appeal to authority. Like if people want to argue, like if Doublelift is like, I have 8 championships, so you can't talk. Like if that's the argument he wants to go for, like whatever, man. Like okay, sure. He definitely is a more accomplished player than I was. But let's just, if we're talking about like the actual game and like we're thinking about it like fucking like human beings, right? Like if you look at a lot of these matchups, Caitlyn Morg just has consistent shove. They have better level 1. We start the game from level 1. Hecarim just starts the game behind because he has 2 losing side lanes. The other thing is like the Gnar Renekton matchup. I think people have like more Renekton, like so.
No, hold on. There's a misconception. There's a misconception in chat right now. I didn't say Doublelift brought us up. I'm saying the people. That was the argument that people were using. Right. Just to clarify, I'm trying. All right, go ahead, Dumb.
Yeah,
Jesus.
sure. So like, I mean, but like, let's say that we get into like a situation where we're talking about the game, right? Gnar versus Renekton, I think people have a completely wrong perception of this matchup because they watch North America. When you watch better regions, the Gnar actually just starts hard winning side at level 9, regardless of like if he got dove, if he's behind 20 CS, if he's down, if he has like item components versus a completed item. Like Gnar just starts winning this matchup like level 9 plus. So you're gonna have 2 winning sides, and then you can't even force on the Caitlyn Morg if they were shadowed. To me, the biggest mistake of this entire fucking of this entire game from C9 was the fact that they were so far ahead that I think that they were not fully accounting for everything that could happen to the Kate Morg lane. Like they probably thought that there was no world where they could even get remotely close to being 2v2'd because they were up 5 plates and a completed item. So when they walked up to that top turret, they're doing it like not on their wave timing. Like as a team, you have to synergize when you're actually walking up to hit turret if you're going to play these turret pushing comps. So what you want to do is like, hey, if Blabber needs to back, like Blabber was really far ahead. If he needs to back and get an item, that's completely fine, right? Like you don't have to hit turret on every single wave with Kate Morg. Like you can wait for your jungler to get an item. You can wait for Fudge and Perks to get bases off. They come back to lane, and then when it's your timing again, you walk to the turret, and you have Lilia shadowing you, and then you can never lose that type of fight because the Caitlyn is so far ahead. Also, inherently, Hecarim has less value into Gale Force champions, just because Gale Force is just an inherent counter to Hecarim ulti. The only person that can realistically get to the Caitlyn would be like Renekton with a flank with Prowlers. But I actually think I think Renekton with Prowlers is good into like things like Quinn that are a lot squishier. So when I've watched people try to do this against top level Gnars, like they just don't have enough HP and they get instantly kited by the Gnar. Like they might start a trade with Prowlers, their double dash, whatever, and they might burst off like a solid like 60 to 75% of the Gnar's HP in the side lane. But good Gnar players know that once that Renekton is out of juice completely, you just turn and you chase him all the way the fuck down the lane as Gnar versus Renekton. So I feel like Fudge, when he was behind, he was like too afraid to actually like take the side lane fights that he will inherently win.
Why?
No, I mean, I agree with that. I wish we could pull up on Parsec. I can't use it client side because it does something to my PC. But there's key specific points where it's just freeze frames. It's literal freeze frames. Now, if we can't agree on the game in freeze frames, like me or other pro player, like, you know what I mean, or like me and Dom, etc. I mean, we just can't even actually have a conversation if we have just totally different fundamental beliefs on what is and isn't possible, right, by the champions, in certain freeze frames. So like, Cloud9 pushes that top plate.
Yeah.
Perks is doing wraiths. Fudge is looking for a recall. Perks
Look where
I've got
Bobber
it.
is.
I've got it up right now.
And they just pulled him right up to top lane for a TP. Yeah, this is it. So they pulled him right up to top lane. You look at Fudge, you look at Blabber, you look at Perks. Why did they push 160 gold turret to get 80? And then this happens. Now, there's shutdowns, there's comeback EXP. There's a lot of stuff happening here on the screen. Like that transpires here. At the end of the day, Blabber ends up he's ruining his pathing now as he's trying to run up to top lane. But then there's the other one where Fudge is just before Dragon. He ends up getting caught and dying. So TSM just gets Mountain for free. But the really weird thing was that one of the assertions, right, was that no one could protect Kate. And yet, even though TSM got bailed out by such completely horrendous mistakes by Cloud9, there was actually several instances where they couldn't reach Caitlyn in standoff team fights.
Well,
in
here's
mid-game
the other thing is like,
they just couldn't reach her. So I don't know. Go. I can't.
Well, what I was gonna say is like this.
Oh,
So
man.
like one of the things I've been like preaching for a while, right? It's like choke control, right? And one of Caitlyn's biggest strengths is choke control. The fact that she can just trap off an entire entrance and you like are no longer allowed to walk through there as a team is fucking OP. Like it's fucking broken. Even if you get into a situation where like a team gets into the river, let's say you control your chokes, then the enemy has to approach from the opposite side of the river. So like you're controlling your red team here from C9, you control the chokes near like enemy blue wraiths, and then blue has to contest from bot side into drag. You can then put like 3 traps and even shorten that part of the river. So like you have so much control on the champion, but like no one controls chokes anyway with any of these broken abilities. So like you don't even get to see them put into a state where they automatically win. Like what should happen in a game like this when they're this far ahead is that they should just be first on every single objective. As long as they're first on objective, they're timing Meganar and they're making sure that they're able to fight. Like C9 is ahead. They go to objectives. They start trapping it up, and it should look so hard for TSM to get into the river. Like they get into the river, they're getting Victor laser. They're having to step on a trap. One of the tanks steps on a trap. Like he gets headshot for like 600. Like there's so much damage you can
They
actually
can't.
do.
Yeah,
here.
they can't reach Kate. It just doesn't make sense. There's
I mean,
no,
every fight is in the open though, so like that's how you reach Kate is you just fight like Caitlyn in the complete open where you have like TP wards behind.
right.
Hecarim can get a flank.
That's
like,
the dream scenarios, right, where you can somehow reach her. But then I mean, she still has net. She has self trap. She has.
She's Gale Force. Gale Force is inherently bad for Hecarim.
This is what I meant earlier. By it's like unless you can somehow simulate this out like on screen over and over and over, right? And like interview players after the matches and whatnot, or you literally spend so much time going step by step, you just get drowned by kangaroo courts, essentially, right? By like
it was obvious what happened. I mean, it was obvious what happened this game, right? Like VENN and Vulcan thought that they were so fucking strong at that point that they could just walk up and hit turret, and even like with TPs, like they thought that like if Nautilus and Kai'Sa went for their like engage, like they ultied whatever, they thought that you know they would just be able to hard win the 2v2 regardless of like if there was TPs and anything like that. So they just skipped steps. But this is like one of the things that I've said about Cloud9. My overall take on Cloud9 and teams like G2 is that for most of the time that they're playing in these leagues, they're getting so many free wins that they feel like they can play everything, and they're not actually getting challenged on any of the things that they like are going to have to like know as a team. So they're not actually getting beat by teams that are good at controlling chokes, right? There's no one that's actually doing that. So like when you watch like LPL, I have a perfect like highlight that I brought up because I thought of like, what does it look when an LPL team comes back? Like, how do they actually fight through that? So I have a clip for people to see like the difference where they actually have to outplay, but all like the the mental like decisions where they're like, okay, we're gonna like not let them approach through here. They have to like push mid. They have to walk through mid instead of these chokes. Like all those types of things actually are done. So when you get into the game, like you actually are just forced to outplay mechanically. But you can't get to this point without the enemy team knowing, right? Like you can't kill people you can't not kill people that are inting. That's like a huge thing. It's part of the reason why C9 couldn't get that much better last year is because even if you scrim, if the enemy is just making a bunch of mistakes, they're just going places they can't, you're just going to naturally kill them. And then you get so much of a lead that it's too easy to play the game where you don't actually have to like hammer out like the minute stuff. So yeah, I mean, sure. Let's just get into this replay of RNG versus EDG. And you can tell just like the difference in like how these fights are happening. Also, one thing that I just want to say is generally speaking, when you're watching, every single fight in LPL happens around these vision points. Like they'll happen around the zones where the enemy's trying to walk through mid or around the choke. This is where every single fight happens. But for some reason in NA, every single fight happens with both teams facing off against each other and both junglers trying to like smite steal the dragon while the teams are trying to fight. So let's just watch this. Okay. So it's 15 seconds before dragon. EDG push mid. They drop Herald to try to force the enemy team mid. And then look at them trying to control this zone. So they're trying to control the zone. They're 1.5k gold up. And Ming knows that like if you're trying to walk through, you're going to end up just getting completely chunked. So the answer is that you want a like hard engaged fight where you don't just take free damage when you're walking in. So Ming hooks in. It looks pretty good. I mean, the fight looks good for EDG, right? Like EDG gets the chunk. Like look at how they defend these chokes though. They do not let the enemy team walk in for free. They're spacing well. Gnar one-man ultis onto the Hecarim. And what ends up happening here is Wei gets a really good E onto both carries. And he sleeps Viper and Scout. And they full commit. Like they flash W. They full commit on the Azir because they know this is the only chance they can win the fight. Like these types of things are like I don't think that this is like bad coaching from EDG or they like trolled, right? Like they just got hit by an ability that they didn't see in the middle of the fight. And they end up losing based on it. But I think that this is so much better macro-wise than what we're getting in NA. You know, a lot of these throws are just people making the wrong decision. And I don't feel like enemy teams are like really outplaying hard. So this is just one thing that I thought about when I was watching these games. Like I was like, oh, this is an example of an enemy team controlling chokes well. And like, it doesn't mean that if the enemy team controls chokes, you could absolutely never win, but you have to play better in the fight then. So yeah, this is an example of somebody playing better in the fight. And these are the types of things where I'd be like, okay, at least the teams have the right mentality about the game. Like you can tell that EDG is like well coached and they've practiced the situation before.
Right here. And then to flip it on over, you could parsec me on this one, Joe. This is how a dragon is won in NA. We can roll this clip right here.
Show it.
Yeah, here we go. There's Fudge by himself getting killed and dove Cloud9 nowhere near where Dragon is. Then
this is 15 seconds before. It's actually great. It's actually great because this is 15 seconds before exactly. Like look at how Chinese teams are all grouped up. They drop Herald to force the enemy team mid. They're controlling their fucking chokes 15 seconds before. And then you look at C9 and C9 is like 15 seconds before just getting caught randomly. They're the team that's winning. They have no pressure. They have no vision. Like it's crazy. I mean, all I'd say is like, this is a better draft from TSM.
How long do we have until the VOD has to go up on Twitch?
Okay, man. Fucking, I love pre-recorded content.
Yeah, no, pre-recorded content is my favorite.
How much did we miss? Like, I don't even know where it cut out because, like, I think I was cutting out and then dGon was completely cutting out. Or I think it was.
It's okay. It was like NA macro. See?
Yeah.
You were really getting into the point.
Mm-hmm. I think. Hey, chat. Did you hear us talk about NA Dragon? How NA Dragon compared to LPL Dragon? Can we get a yep?
The 15 seconds before window.
Yeah. Let's see. Are you better? Lol. Come on, catch up, chat. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. More yeps than nopes. All you trolls that said nope, you can go kick rocks. You guys suck. All right. Cool. Moral of the story, Cloud9 starting to struggle a little bit, maybe skipping steps. Got to be careful with that as they move closer and closer, not only to the spring mid-season showdown, but international play, if they're the ones that are able to make it out of this NA fiesta. All right, that was Cloud9 TSM. Another team tried to make a move to do better, but ended up going 1-2, which I think is worse. It was 100 Thieves bringing back one of Dom's favorite players. No, I'm not talking about Soy Luigi. I'm talking about Tommy Boy, back from the depths of Academy, replacing Tanner Time. Ryoma into the roster, and they go 0-2 in their first 2 games before they're able to eke out a win in game number 3 of the week for them. Dom, quick assessment here, overall assessment here of Ryoma being inserted back into the 100 Thieves lineup. That's right. Get those Tommy feels good, man, right in the chat, please.
I mean, look, it just looks like Tommy's playing mid. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, I don't think that playing with Tommy suddenly means you have like some great control mage player. So I don't really understand the change that much. I mean, I know that DeMonte inted on his control mages the week before, but I don't feel like Ryoma's lane phase is gotten any better, really. Like when you see him play control mage into like an Echo, for example, he's getting a lot of help and still not even really winning out on CS, and they end up throwing the game anyway. Shockwaves are really bad in that game for the Orianna. And then I don't really understand like the picks either, right? Like if you're gonna play something like Sylas, like number one, I don't understand Sylas in the game at all. I mean, maybe LS can explain to me the drafting there, but I don't understand Sylas in the game at all. It looks to me like so when you're playing into Orianna is one of the hardest matchups for Sylas. There was no good ults for him to steal. Like normally you want to see like an Alistar or a Hecarim or some ult that's really, really good on Sylas when you're playing it. But he picked it as a counter pick into Orianna, so he counter picked himself, and then he just went down 30 CS in lane. So I really don't understand like the drafting or what they're trying to accomplish with the Ryoma change.
Yeah, I don't understand what it is either. When I talked about it with like Nemesis and Crowny on stream, I think that what we hypothesized is that I think this is a legitimate hypothesis, that maybe DeMonte says things in game that agitates some of the other players, or the way that he wants to go about things is not on the same page with the other 4 or the other 3 or whoever, right? And even if Ryoma just shuts up and just plays a game, it's somehow better, or it's easier for the others to function. It's all conjecture, right? We can't actually know, but what we can know is that he's a very weak mid laner. That's just what is going on in the games. So I don't understand. I don't understand the point for the change.
Maybe it's one of those feels. I mean, it could be one
Yeah.
of those feels good changes, right? Like where it's like, oh, we have, the team is slumping. We just need to change something. This is the one thing we could change that keeps everything kind of similar, because both mid laners can't like play control mages really. So, we did our change, have some new blood in there, some new energy, and, maybe that'll help get us out of the slump. Maybe it's that.
Right. Well, yeah, and I wanted to position it after, a lot of people took a look at this change. Specifically, I think Tim Seven Houston, who does Oracle Elixir, one of the analytical minds of LCS analysts, as well as I think Kelsey Moser also pushed this idea as well. It's early on in the year, the overall year. You get him a full week of 3 matches in the LCS. He's been doing well in Academy, and it kind of makes sense to make this move now. We've covered the struggles that DeMonte has faced here in terms of his mages compared to what his TF is Galio, Kiana. Am I missing one that he's been pretty good at?
Who, DeMonte? Wait, what did you say? Which ones did you say?
TF, Galio, and Kiana. I mean, he hasn't even played Kiana, but
Yeah, I mean, it's just those types of champions. Like, he's just good at playmaking champions. I mean, this is my take, and this is what I want 100 Thieves to start doing, is I want them to accept the mid laner that they have on their team and try to see as far as, like, that style of play will go. Because we see in LPL, Doinb, for example, he's able to pick all the champions that I think DeMonte would be good on, like Nocturne mid, Kled mid, like Rumble mid, like these playmaking champions. And have that be your style, where you have, like, the utility base, like, playmaking mid laner, and don't just like don't be forced to play control mages versus like TSM and C9, these players that will, like, in crunch time will play better than you. So I would just love to see like 100 Thieves buckle down on that style, man. Play like they have DeMonte, play TF, play Galio, play Scion, play Gled, play Nocturne, play all these champions. Also, a bunch of those AD champions, they work well with Lilia, which is a high prio champion in the meta. Karthus jungle is coming back. You can run like Karthus Nocturne comps where the Karthus goes jungle, the Nocturne goes mid, have a lot of pressure. When the Nocturne goes to Rome, the Karthus eats waves. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of options you have, and it feels like 100 Thieves is just afraid to buckle down on that style. They're like, we can't win if we don't play control mages. Where I feel actually like if they try to play super standard and they try to play like just completely standard comps versus like C9s, TLs, TSMs in playoffs, I think they're just gonna end up losing. So I feel like they
Just
need
lesser
to
versions.
actually,
Yeah.
to like play to their own player strengths to have the best result.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen in DeMonte's career when he did it over at Clutch, right? Clutch was like, hey, 10-minute Herald, let's set that up. Okay, I'm just going to play Kiana because I'm going to leave that open and people are just going to allow me to do that. And that got them to Worlds. They were the number 3 seed at that time for NA. So with I think a pretty solid roster here, you got Someday in the top lane instead of Huni on that Clutch Gaming roster. I think that's something that Thieves can double down on, but it feels like if there was a week to do it, maybe last week, this week, I don't think is too bad either, because now you have the decision. You got to see Tommy Boy beat up on Academy, get a shot over at LCS, and you still find this stilted success here. So now week 6 and moving into playoffs, you have a decision, because either way, I think both mid laners aren't going to have like an attitude issue, right? Like LS, you've been as a coach, when you're dealing with roster change and roster moves, like at what point do you make those moves and then solidify something, and when can you experiment?
I mean, well, I never dealt with roster change. I mean, my experience dealing with roster changes was Saint Vicious turning around and asking when we start scrimming, and then the general manager looking at me and then looking at him and then asking Saint to go talk. Oh my god.
Nice.
I mean, it was terrible, right? And that was my first experience in LCS, but I haven't dealt with
That was your first experience?
That was my first experience in LCS. Yeah, I haven't dealt with like roster changes like on the scope of like what LCS and LEC and other stuff are dealing with. I mean, I guess in BBQ, right? We had players that were like swapping roles and stuff, but the stuff that like we see from like behind the scenes, or like the stuff that comes out in like manifestos on Twitter, or like by comments and stuff like that, I've never seen anything like it. But then again, I mean, I also have always gotten along with what people call historically very toxic people, right? I'm very friendly with Malice, and I've never had issues with Malice. I've always said that Malice
guy's a cunt. Oh, wait,
dude,
what?
Dude, well, I mean, yeah, but like Forgiven as well, Selfie, right? Forgiven, Selfie, Malice, like players with like renowned problematic reputations. I've never had any issues with. I've always said that Malice was always a sweetheart, and he was the best teammate on BBQ out of everyone. And the Koreans felt that way. I mean, all the Koreans were still fucking here, like welcome to my orphanage. But yeah, I've never dealt with it. I think that it's I'm not gonna.
I mean, look.
Go ahead, Dom. Go.
Look, I mean, if I was DeMonte and I got replaced by Ryoma, I probably would not be very happy. Like, I feel like that, like, probably because I mean, he was the person that was also the like emotional leader of the team from all aspects that we saw. So to me, it's like, I don't know. I think it's a really risky move because I don't actually think they're going to end up going with Ryoma long term. Like, he still just looks like Ryoma. He doesn't look any different than he did before. And I still don't think it fixes any of the problem. Like, let's say you go into a best of 5 and you got Ryoma playing Azir versus Power of Evil playing Ori. Do you ever feel like you're going to have mid lane advantage in the game? Like, I don't think so. Like, I would not want to. Like, if I was closer and I just went into the game, I'm like, shit, I better fucking smurf or this game is doomed. Like, that's how I would feel. So I don't actually think this accomplishes that much unless like they really have a super low opinion of DeMonte, or they're just unwilling to like play the style that maybe DeMonte wants to play. Or they just think that like he's just toxic in a team environment, something like that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess we'll never know, right? We'll never know unless we're in those chats or had some sort of insider information. But as you said, the emotional leader of those guys, I think it was I don't know, a move that you can make if you've got a mid laner and you want to see what he's got, and then you come back to him. If Demonte takes it on the chin, is like, sure, I'll come back and I'll prove you wrong, and he might have the opportunity to do that because Ryoma didn't win the job, right? He didn't win it in his LCS performance.
I mean, they went 1-2, man. And the only win they had, it was Golden Guardians, and he's down 30 CS in lane. Like, I don't know, man. I guess that was the performance you want.
Yeah, yeah. So either way,
they lost
Thieves.
EG. EG can't beat anyone right now. Like, I don't know, man. It's really crazy.
Yeah, and it's interesting how a lot of the LCS shaped up like we thought it would in terms of teams pushing for playoff spots, teams slightly on the outside. I think the one that we got wrong was Dignitas being 10-5 and winning these coin flips, and then Immortals being a little bit higher than what we thought. But other than that, I think we basically got.
I had Immortals in. I think I had them in. Oh, actually, okay, yeah, fine. I mean, I had them, I think, in 8th.
Yeah, I thought you had him at 8th. So
and they're 7th.
Like, yeah, I think it was just Dignitas, right? But then like EG kind of being in that like, hey, low ceiling, high floor, and looking like they might finish the season 9-9 right there, right in the middle on the playoff cusp there. But all right, so remember this whole year, right? This whole year is a one long season. So when you're in the bucket, like some of these teams all the way at the bottom, what's the play here, right? If you're FlyQuest, if you're CLG, if you're Golden Guardians, your spring season coming to an end, but what do? Do you start like fully experimenting with rosters? Do you start swapping players out? If you're Golden Guardians, you have a developmental roster, but you also know that you can count on Niles taking a one-on-one in the top lane early and a lot of the time losing those. So do you like flip around the rosters? What do you do here for some of these teams on the bottom half?
I don't know. I mean, Golden Guardians, it's like this is a developmental roster. Like, I guess we'll see how they develop, like from spring split to summer split. I mean, I feel like you have to give them more time if that's your take. CLG, I wouldn't do anything because they're starting to pull it together. FlyQuest, I would actually, I would want to see Dreams personally. That's the play I want to see. I think that so they have roster spots, right? Like they have Licorice, Palafox, and Johnson as NA players. Jose Deoda is import. So they have an import slot. Give it to Dreams, man. I think that Dreams is a much better player than Diamond. Like, I just don't think that Diamond has been providing much like hope. And Dreams is somebody who was good in EU. So yeah, that would be my take.
Dreams being picked up from Schalke. Now finding himself on FlyQuest. And again, FlyQuest is one of the teams that had to do a very, very big reorganization. A lot of the money coming from the NBA organization, the Milwaukee Bucks, NBA with coronavirus and not being able to have fans come into stadiums and create as much money. All organizations are starting to do that. And so getting creative with their rosters. So maybe Dreams will have the opportunity here. LS, what are your thoughts on some of these moves that teams on the bottom can try to make to turn around their summer season?
Well, I think summer is going to be really important for. I don't even think necessarily just the bottom, right? I think that you could even talk about some of the top teams. Wait, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Oh, okay. Everything was saying connection. All right. I was hearing connection loss for some. Okay. I think that other teams in the LCS can also like make plays in the off season because I think that there are a lot of upsets that are happening right now, and the current standings are not reflective. I think, or I don't think that they're an accurate measurement of power level right now. Like CLG, they're bringing back in Proto Belter, but I don't know what's going to be the end result. I don't know if they're going to actually make changes in the offseason. It's really hard for them to do so, right? Because they just committed so hard to bringing over Finn and Broxa that I can't imagine their staff being willing to make that journey, right? To do anything there. And then Golden Guardians, I mean, everyone says they don't have money, right? That's the big problem, is that they just don't have money, so they can't sign anyone, and no one wants to go to the team because it's like, Titanic on its maiden voyage. So I'm not sure what you can do there. There's no allure there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's doomed. But I mean, I think for CLG, like, it's actually weird. that like even if CLG is 4-11, the fact that they've had like some hope in these last couple weeks, I think that's like literally enough for the organization at this point. Like I don't think CLG is committed to being like a top tier roster and they're like gonna be like super cutthroat and do anything possible to get there. I think that they're just trying to get people not to hate them. That's what I feel like the angle of that like as long as CLG fans aren't completely like, you know, out of it, I think they're fine.
CLG, all right, so I don't know, like there have been some people that have left the org, right, since Spring Split,
Nasha, the
and
general
whatnot,
manager, has
and
moved on.
I don't think that I don't think this is too big of a leak, but CLG was willing to go very big this past offseason with acquisitions, whether it be LEC players or LCK. They were willing to try to keep matching or inquiring further, like money wise. So I don't think CLG is actually like far away from that. I think that they just have to think, is it actually worth it? And if they don't think that it's worth it, then you won't see that commitment. But I do know that they were willing to be one of the money slingers this past Spring Split.
Mm-hmm. And they
CLG
ended up
fans.
with Brox and Finn. I mean, Finn I think is actually pretty good at acquisition.
Had some
but,
good
like,
plays. Yeah, okay, cool. That's what I was going
All
to
right.
say. I wanted
You
to
just had to do it, didn't you? You just
mean,
thank you,
yeah.
honestly, Dom. Thank you, though. I mean,
Bro,
that is at
dude,
least
look.
2 comment chains that you know that are not.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Like, I mean, it is what it is, though. Like, if you just didn't show me cameras and used the same nameplate and you told me Wiggly played this whole season and Broxel was still having visa issues, I would have just like, you know, I would have accepted it. I'm like, yeah, looks like some or what's his name now? Griffin, whatever it is.
Griffin.
Okay. Yeah. So
Oh
if
my
they use
God.
Griffin for the split, I would have been like, yeah, it's the same play. Like, I don't think that they're getting that much import value there.
Well, maybe that's something they could take a look at. And Chad already driving a lot of possible imports in here, and that's good to hear. If you're a CLG fan, you're kind of used to it. Some CLG hope. Maybe the pocketbooks might be the one that brings hope in the summer season, and maybe when things start to settle down here with quarantine and global restrictions and whatnot. All right, and then last question before we wrap things up this week. No power rankings. I know we said we're gonna have power rankings this week, but no power rankings this week. We'll hop on it next week as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. Exactly that. Got 6 teams still vying for those 5 playoff spots as Cloud9's already booked their ticket. Is this where Evil Geniuses run their end and don't make it into playoffs and Immortals sneaks on in? Or do you have all the playoff teams already in position? And we'll start with you, Dom.
I don't know. I mean, I assume that Immortals will just be 7th and they just won't make it. I don't know what their schedule is. Let me see.
Both teams have a difficult schedule. I believe Evil Geniuses has an easier one. I think they play TL, TSM, and CLG. I know that EG has CLG. Immortals plays all 3 top teams.
C9, TSM, 100 Thieves. Yeah, I think both teams are going to go 0-3, honestly.
Yeah.
I think EG in this state would probably even lose to CLG. So I think both teams are going to go 0-3, and we're going to get an 8-10 playoffs EG. I'm not even memeing. Like, that's how I feel right now, at least.
Oh, man.
LS?
I share the exact same sentiment. I don't think there's any deviation here. The thing is that I really do hope that it's Cloud9 at MSI and not any of the other teams. Mostly because I think Cloud9 will be the most adaptable probably of them all, right?
I agree with that.
And so with the quarantine time period, those types of scrims, etc. I think that's probably NA's best hope for international showing. If there's any hope at all. But I mean, it's looking rough, right? Because it's most likely gonna be Dom1. Joe, don't shoot me. It's most likely gonna be Dom1. And
it doesn't matter who comes from China, bro. You can literally take the 10th place team from China. You can be like, here's IG. Like, they've been having some bad games, and like Rookie and the Shy are going to murder whoever is across from them in lane. So, it doesn't matter who's coming from China. If it's RNG, if it's EDG, it's going to be bad.
Right, and then you have G2 or you're going to have Rogue. most likely, right? So
Mhm.
Cloud9 are not favored against any of the teams that are coming. Yeah, I don't know. And then depending on the format, right? We don't know the format yet. We just know that it's 3-group, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the format, if it's best of 1, then they could probably drop games to some of the other teams that are coming from other regions.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought the format was 3 groups, best of 1's double round robin. So that doesn't.
Oh,
You know.
jeez. Well, I'm fucking Dig could maybe make it out of groups. Maybe something.
I was gonna say if it is Dig.
Shit.
They try
Is
to
playoffs
make
best of 1 in NA too? Because then they
Showmaker.
might have a chance. You know.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
maybe all of a sudden Showmaker won't be able to close out the game, and they'll have to back off
Yeah.
with Big Bad Dardoch running through the
Oh, no.
running through the river.
Please don't
The
make me
other-
watch the league over Showmaker.
Oh,
no.
yeah, baby! Send over the undefeated Shadow Dogs Unleashed Soy Luigi on top of Showmaker. You won't know what hit him. Last question here in terms of playoffs. Again, right? In this new playoff format, the top 4 are seated in the winners bracket. The bottom 2 start in the losers bracket. Before, it used to be the top 2 would have a bye and they would just get to play in later. But now it's a winners bracket and losers bracket. There is still that battle between 100 Thieves and Team Liquid, where 100 Thieves has the tiebreaker or is up on the tiebreaker. They'll play against each other in that final week 1-0. Who do you got in that other 5th place spot? Do you have 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, or TSM or Dignitas, theoretically? All of them are just one game in between each other that could possibly drop down to that losers bracket. Who do you think is 5th place?
I think, so here's something that's, so Dignitas actually have like one of the hardest schedules. They have to play against Cloud9 and TL next week. Now, we don't know how hard Cloud9 is going to try, but I assume that TL will beat Dignitas. So if TL beats Dignitas, they also, I think, have to play like Immortals or something. I think that TL can realistically 3-0 the week. What I would be really scared of is being in that, like, in one of those states where, like, you end up getting, like, 5th, or you get, like, let's say, so I forget how it works. Is it 1 versus, is it, you said it was the no bye?
It's 1 versus 4, and then
oh, it's not
2
1 versus
3.
6? Who
No.
plays 6? 5, 6 play each other?
6 plays, no. 6 and 5 play the loser of 1, 4, 2, 3.
Oh, so 6 and 5 are seeded into the losers bracket.
Yeah. 6 and 5 are seeded losers. So 1, 4, 2, 3. And I don't think like also in the past you used to get to pick out of when you had the bye, you get to pick who you play. I don't think you get to do that here. I think it's literally 1, 4, 2, 3, and then the losers of that will play 6, 5.
I thought it's probably not that bad, honestly. But like if TL and C9 end up like, as long as TL and C9 end up 1-4, that means that Dig, Dig just wants to avoid playing against TL or C9 in the first round. If they can play against like TSM or 100 Thieves, I think they have much higher chance of winning. Especially because I feel like the way that these teams kind of work out, like one thing I wanted to see, I'm not sure how often this happens. One thing I wanted to see is how often teams actually end up beating the team that they beat in the first round robin, because I feel like certain teams just match up well into other teams, right? Like Dig is 2-0 on TSM randomly, Immortals is 2-0 on EG, like just the teams that like TL is 2-0 on C9. It feels like certain teams just match up better into other teams, right? So like it just depends on if Dig is able to play against a team that they feel more comfortable against, or if they had to play against a team that they historically struggle against.
That's right. CLG had the chance to go 2-0 on Golden Guardians this week as well.
Oh shit!
But no, chat. I'm sorry. Yes, we're doubting CLG can make playoffs because it's mathematically impossible. I'm sorry to break it to you. Holy shit, chat.
But what about Proto Belter, dude? Come on.
He's such a nice guy. They could definitely do it. No,
Yeah.
CLG is out of playoffs. I'm sorry, fans. Okay. Well, with that, I think things started to devolve a little bit faster.
LS is such a boomer, man. He's just like fucking. He's letting math still dictate himself in 2021.
Yeah.
Kind of
Idiot.
cringe.
Doesn't he know that we can just cancel these other teams? Like, come on,
Yeah,
what?
true.
Is that a horse in TL's logo? Are they fucking?
Oh yeah, it's animal cruelty. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, it's a representative.
Oh my
They're boosting it up, man. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. A rough week for the LCS in terms of preparing us for international play, not the macro sense. Dom, you hit what was one thing you hit? You did the your new series fixing NA. You talked about Dignitas not being able to fix things. What is the next thing you wanted to fix for next week?
I mean, there's so many things, right?
That's
like,
why I
there's
said pick one, man.
Look,
hold
this
on,
is actually what it is.
I want to ask you. What do you think it is that, so on that TSM, because I would say drafting, right, is very problematic, but also, I know there's a lot of comments in the Twitch chat tonight, but there's going to be a lot of comments on Reddit as well, right? How are people like you and I on the South Pole and they're on the North Pole? How do you think that actually happens? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I just assume that, like, it's hard to say. I mean, I think that
right. It's weird. It's actually weird.
I think that people think of it like very like matchup versus matchup reliant. So like people will like the TSM draft because they're like, oh, Hecarim is like good into Lilia. Like they'll see that in a vacuum, but it's like Hecarim is not good into Lilia if Lilia can level 1 invade and is 3 levels up. Like then it's really not good. So I don't know. And then like I guess it's just like different interpretations of how the matchups go. I think that's where it stems from.
Okay. All right. Just had to get that out there. Look, you know.
Look, I was just gonna say NA geography, man. Don't ask me about the poles. I barely know even what's inside Iceland. Iceland's Reykjavik's a great country.
Yeah, Jesus
Iceland's a great
Christ.
city. Whatever I said last week, it was bad.
Oh man, that's some NA geography. I mean, there's so many times. Like, holy shit! Like when I looked at like the TSM game, right? Like, I actually was originally going to do that whole choke control dragon whatever segment on all 3 of the dragons, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th Drake from TSM, because all of them were bad. But yeah, I ended up just doing 1 because I was talking for 13 minutes. But like, Jesus Christ, like, I mean, I could do 2 more on just that game, right? Like the fact that TSM then is playing against Soul Point and they start hitting Baron 50 seconds before the Drake spawns. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And then the one where they have Baron, where they end up they have Baron and they're 7k gold up, and somehow they like get into a situation where they're losing soul. Holy fuck. It's just way too triggering. It's way too triggering.
Yeah. We're taking
all I'm saying is drafting doesn't matter less. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I need to comment on this. I need to comment on this because this is defense. There's a guy in chat. There's a guy in chat, and he's like, you analyze draft as if it was played perfectly, but the reality is that the game isn't played perfectly. That's the whole point. You have to be perfect to get onto Caitlyn. Holy shit. Dude, this line's ironic. It's like it's the idiots that say that
I stopped reading your chat. Like somebody dude, like was criticizing me for saying Alistar ult was good on Silas. Like I just stopped reading your goddamn chat at that moment.
No,
like dude, there's just like Alistar ult doesn't do any damage on Silas.
It's ironic, man. They use this sentence to me like I'm supposed to be offended by it. But it's ironic that they don't even fucking realize what they're saying. That you have to be the inhuman, like, perfect people to actually make your comp work. If you're insulting fucking pro players by assuming that they can't do these very basic fucking things, holy shit, it's ironic, and you don't even realize it. I mean, the guy's the whole circus. I'm sorry. Take it away. dGon.
Hey, mad kid.
Back to you, buddy. I can't. I have a call in 3 minutes. Oh, my God.
All right. With that, guy in chat, welcome to your 5 minutes of fame. This is how we're going to close out this week of the LCS because that's how it made LS feel. Hopefully the teams will pick up their play. We'll get to see some riveting macro plays here and give us some hope as we move closer to playoffs, move closer to MSI, and we'll find out the seeding and which 6 teams will be moving on to playoffs. But we know that Golden Guardians, CLG, and FlyQuest will not bid them goodbye, just like we here at Facecheck will bid you goodbye until next week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.
Hey, thanks for watching VENN Esports. I think there's someone in here. But make sure to hit that subscribe button below and to go to our other videos because I might not make it out of here. I might not make it out of here alive. Ah!